Hi, everybody. Just a quick update on the Patreon. We are adding a stretch goal to the Patreon, and that is we get a ton of requests, and maybe you don't know. We played in a D&D campaign every Sunday at my house. I'm the DM. Hugo's one of the players. Both our girlfriends play, and then one of our buddies plays as well. I get asked every single day by several people to stream that thing. The problem is, you need cameras, you need mics, and we need something else to record onto, like computer and stuff. So, we're adding this to a Patreon goal because we get asked. So, we're thinking about at 2,500 or so, which is exactly the same as our goal for the Creation Museum. So it's going to be like 1A, 1B. We will do both, basically. Of course, the Creation Museum being like a one-time visit, and the D&D thing being a long-time thing, which we would stream on Twitch. So if you are interested in that and you want to throw a buck our way or more and then get chick tracks and stuff signed and sent to you, absolutely, that would be amazing, and that would help the show a lot. And of course, if you just support us and don't care about D&D at all, Patreon is also a really fantastic way to do that. It's amazing. We usually plug this at the very end of the show. Yeah. So, this one time we've done it in the beginning.
Try the theme song.
Love you.
Hugo and Jake. The Bible is jaded, and most of it taken. So get educated with Hugo and Jake. Pull up you and stop what you're doing. It's Bible reloaded time. They call it debated, the theorists will hate it. I'm talking to taken, but it's Hugo and Jake. So I'm with the show then. It's not candy coated. It's the Bible reloaded with Hugo and Jake. With Hugo and Jake.
Hello everyone, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And welcome back to the Atheist Bible Study on Hugo and Jake.
We're the Christian podcast.
We're continuing today in our study of Hosea. We're going to get about halfway through today, I think. And then maybe in the next one we're going to wrap it up. We're so close to we're on page 500 right now. Where's the New Testament start?
We are so close to the light of the Lord. It actually is on page 538.
Holy shit.
537. And some of those are blank in the middle.
So, this time we're going to be talking about Hosea reconciling with his wife. And if you remember last time, what had happened was God told Hosea, a prophet, to marry a prostitute to make an example because Israel is like a prostitute. And in this episode, he's going to be telling him to reconcile with his prostitute wife.
Wait, his wife is a prostitute?
Yeah.
So he's reconciling with a prostitute wife, not a different one.
Yeah. So, today we're reading Hosea's reconciliation with his wife in Hosea chapter 3. The Lord said to me, "Go, show your love to your wife again. Though she is loved by another man and is an adulteress, love her as the Lord loves Israelites, though they turn to other gods and love the sacred raisin cakes."
There's a couple issues here. Number one, and most glaringly, is nobody loves a prostitute. You fuck them. They're human fleshlights.
See, I was gonna say
no.
Everyone fucks raisin cakes. What?
No.
Okay.
They're treats, sir. That's my second issue. Raisin cakes, what?
For reference, I'm imagining I should have looked this up, but I think it's funnier if I don't know. Raisin cakes, I'd imagine, based on the context, were something that were used in some sort of religious practice, potentially in some other culture. Because he's bringing this up in relation to Israel not being faithful to him. So it probably has some sort of cultural significance to another group.
Preservation of things, like a raisin, would probably have cultural significance just because you're in the desert. So probably having a raisin, something that's sweet, is probably more of a delicious... Like dates are very important to the Egyptian culture for the same reason. But yeah, I don't like. I know that they say she is loved by another man here. It's code for she gets diddled and stuff by other men with their ding dings. But again, there's probably no emotional attachment. It's fine. It's not really cheating if you literally married her and she was already in this profession. You kind of should have had, like, if you go like, hey, if you marry me, are you gonna stop being a hooker? And she goes, no, I like my job. Why are you still, like, if you're opposed, why are you still doing this marriage thing? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Maybe some communication. Maybe a little bit more communication next time. And I guess that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're trying to reconcile. But you can't get upset when you marry a hooker and she continues her night job. She continues her night job.
Verse 2. So I bought her for 15 shekels of silver and about a homer and a lethek of barley. That's about 430 pounds of barley, in case you're wondering how much you can buy yourself a human person for.
430 pounds of barley?
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's pretty expensive, actually.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Then I told her, you're to live with me many days, and you must not be a prostitute or be intimate with any man, and I will behave the same way toward you.
He won't be a prostitute or fuck dudes? Wow, what a stretch. Wow, what a sacrifices, man. That marriage is about give and take here, and he ain't taken, that's for sure.
Also, by the way, at this period in time, we've talked about this plenty, there weren't many ways, and by many we mean pretty much any ways for a woman to be self-sufficient and have a job for herself and, provide for herself. I'd imagine one of the only ways you could at this point in time would to be a prostitute.
In this area of the world, I may add.
Sure. So, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there weren't people who enjoyed being a prostitute. I'm sure there's always people who enjoy being a prostitute.
Sex work is not a thing that needs to be taboo.
I'd imagine, for many of the people who were prostitutes in this point in time and area,
it was probably a necessity.
I can't imagine if you said to most of them, hey, I'm gonna marry you, which is the only means by which you can have, a stable life in this community.
Property.
Yeah. It's not right. It's completely effed up. But this implies that they think all prostitutes are like, yeah, get me some dick. I'd imagine most prostitutes are like, yeah, I'll do stuff to your dick, but you gotta pay me. That's why they're a prostitute.
There's a movie, is it Scent of a Woman?
I don't know.
Where there's a prostitute and he's like, I'll take you out of the life? Or is that the one with Richard Gere? Scent of a Woman's definitely Pacino.
Pretty Woman is the one in which Richard Gere gets a prostitute and
falls in love with her and is like, hey, let me get you out of the life.
Yeah.
That's the one. Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts. Who was she's a sweetheart. She would never have sex for money, right? I don't think Julia Roberts has ever had she's always had the upper hand when it came to sex. She's just a darling person.
She's a successful
and should be respected in all facets.
She's a successful actress in Hollywood.
Wow! During the rise of the Weinstein Company, that is very sad, and now I'm got depressed. I was just having fun with her superiority as an actress, and you just totally put the real world into my... I don't like that.
The fact that everyone understood what I meant
I know
means that's not on me.
I didn't say it was on you.
No, it was on her, and then she got a call back, and it's fine now. For the Israelites will live many days without knowing a king or prince, without sacrifice stones, without ephod or household gods. Afterward the Israelites will return and seek the Lord their God, and David their king. They will come trembling to the Lord and to his blessings in the last days. So,
they'll come back. They always come back.
He's saying Israelites are like a prostitute desperate for the D. They will come crawling back.
Desperate for... Well, no. Desperate for a husband.
I guess.
This is because marriage is good and being a prostitute is bad. By the way, shout out to all the sex worker fans we have. I'm proud of you.
We have one.
We have several.
Oh.
I follow a few of them. It gets real awkward.
Why? Because
they advertise, but they're in my feed, but I'm not a customer. I'm more of a friend, acquaintance person.
Oh, so it's
hard. It's hard for me.
Because you see him, you're like, oh, you're a person I talk to. Oh,
right.
There's your boobs or vagina.
It's usually that. And while, I want to support that, but also, Jake can't just retweet porn into your feeds all day, or I look like a weirdo. So, go down my follower list, find the sex workers. Some of them happen to be cam models, and enjoy products if you so choose. There's many to choose from.
Services. Enjoy
Not
services.
all services. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. You service yourself. Often they service themselves.
Like being a cam model is a service, not a product.
I would consider it very much. Well, you can buy like videos, so that kind of...
A pre-made video I would consider a product.
Okay, well, I don't know. I've never watched a live stream. Am I a bad friend? I don't know how that works. Tell me how that relationship is supposed to go, Quinn.
Anyway, chapter 4, the charge against Israel. Hear the word of the Lord, you Israelites, because the Lord has a charge to bring against you who live in the land. There is no faithfulness, no love, no acknowledgement of God in this land. There is only cursing, lying, and murder, stealing, and adultery. They break all bonds, and bloodlust follows bloodshed. Because of this, the land dries up, and all who live in it waste away. The beasts of the field, the birds in the sky, and the fish in the sea are swept away.
To this day, the Mediterranean is pretty fertile.
Almost like a crescent of some sort?
Maybe.
A fertile one?
Well, that one's a little bit
I know.
Tiger's Euphrates. But yeah, although I guess the Greeks overfished a little bit, this means nothing to me. Like, all of these are hollow threats. I'm gonna make the earth just fucking dissipate. Nah, it's pretty okay. I mean, we heated up a little bit, but I don't think you're talking about climate change. You know what I mean?
Based on the fact that most hardcore Christians think climate change is fake, I'm on your side on this one.
You know what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah.
Like...
But let no one bring a charge. Let no one accuse another. For your people are like those who bring charges against a priest. That reference hasn't aged very
It
well.
has not, you know?
You know, those people who lie about priests doing bad things. Because this actually is incredibly enlightening to the mindset of the people, not only who wrote this, but the people who read it.
Dude, I
A
guarantee...
priest, you know.
I guarantee Jose has been brought up in Catholic churches like, guys, let's all take a breather. God wrote about this. It's all fake. It's all fake, my
Goddamn
dudes.
kids, stop being so sexy.
We have called kids sexy so many times on here, it barely affects me.
It affects them a lot.
Don't be sexy.
You stumble day and night, and the prophets stumble with you, so I will destroy your mother.
Sounds like a rap battle.
Yeah. My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you on this one, God.
Because you have rejected knowledge, I assume that's in air quotes, I have also rejected you as my priests. Because you have ignored the law of your land, I also will ignore your children. Honestly, for those children, not bad. Assuming he actually ignores them. Because being paid attention to by the God of the Old Testament,
Yeah.
real gamble.
Is it? I'm wondering if this is the writing of someone trying to reconcile why God no longer sticks his actual physical form into situations like he read about in the Older Testament.
I'd imagine so. The more priests there were, the more they sinned against me. They exchanged their glorious God for something disgraceful. They feed on the sins of my people and relish their wickedness, and it will be like people. Like priests, I will punish both of them for their ways and repay them for their deeds. They will eat, but not have enough. They will engage in prostitution, but not flourish.
Yeah, you're not. You'd be a poor prostitute.
So it's not even like, you're good. God... We've done this show a lot, so
Yeah.
I think we're all a little numb to this. Let me just remind you, there was a time when you probably had, like, you know the Bible, maybe you were even a Christian at one point, and you had read it, but really, there's a lot of the meat of the Bible you hadn't heard. Direct quotes from God, most of them, not at the forefront of your head. Would you have pegged God as the guy who said, "You're gonna get fucked by strangers with their dicks in your vagina"?
For little to no pay. For minimum wage. It's minimum wage whoring.
The word of the Lord.
Yeah.
I remember why we started this show.
I remember being in awe of the things this book writes.
I missed that.
No longer. No longer am I just bereft with wonder.
I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to verse 14, in which God says, "I will not punish your daughters when they turn to prostitution, nor your daughter-in-law when they commit adultery, because the men themselves consort with harlots and sacrifice with shrine prostitutes, and people without understanding will come to ruin." Weirdly, one of the most self-aware, like, not just shitting on women thing. They're like, we think prostitution's wrong, but the Johns are men, which is the only time I think in the Bible they have, like... As of yet.
It also gives you a little eyeball into the society. Where do the prostitutes hang out? Not next to the Piggly Wiggly. Oh no, next to the fucking shrines.
Well,
because that's the cultural center of every town.
And also people would be traveling to there for various things.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like
in that story we read previously.
And the community, who, by the way, I don't know if you're aware of this, they will famously, like, put people to death, maybe with crucifixion, who knows, over time. They famously have put people to death for ages. Not the whores. Why, pray tell, are the whores allowed if they're so wicked? It's because you like getting your dick wet every once in a while without the emotional cost. And also, all the women are forced to be whores because you won't allow them to have jobs. So it's slim pickings. Like, this is a you problem. You created this.
Then in chapter 5, Judgment Against Israel, God literally just says, like, hear this, you priests, pay attention, you Israelites, and then he says, like, here's what you are charged with. He just reiterates the same stuff. So we're going to go ahead and skip ahead to chapter 6, Israel Unrepentant.
Uh-oh.
Come, let us return to the Lord. He has torn us to pieces, but he will heal us. He has injured us, but he will bind up our wounds. After 2 days, he will revive us. Yeah, he hits me, but he's so sweet afterward when he apologizes. He takes me to the hospital himself and everything.
Well, this is important. Hosea chapter 6, verse 2. Start at the top one more time.
Okay.
Because this is another Christian thing.
Yeah, after 2 days he will revive us, and on the 3rd day he will restore us, that we may live in his presence.
Jesus.
Yeah. 3 days. We'll talk about that when we get to Jesus. Let us acknowledge the Lord. Let us press on to acknowledge him. As surely as the sun rises, he will appear. He will come to us like the winter rains, like the spring rains that water the earth. What asshole?
Whole earth?
What asshole was like, you know, like the winter rains and like the spring rains? Don't use the same fucking simile twice, you asshole. Jesus Christ.
These guys
you're in a desert, you at least have rain and sand. I can name 2 things right there.
Yeah. I don't know, man. But rain is the good part. The sand is the bad part. Don't you do it. No. Moving on before it happens.
What can I do with you, Ephraim? What can I do with you, Judah? Your love is like a morning mist, like the early dew that disappears. Therefore I cut you into pieces with my prophets. I kill you with the words of my mouth. Then my judgment go forth like the sun, for I desire mercy, not sacrifice, and acknowledgement of God rather than burnt offerings. As at Adam, they have broken the covenant, they were unfaithful to me there. Gilead is a city of evildoers, stained with footprints of blood. As marauders lie in ambush for a victim, so do bands of priests. They murder on the road to Shechem, carrying out their wicked schemes. I have seen a horrible thing in Israel. There Ephraim is given to prostitution. Israel is defiled. Also, for you, Judah, a harvest is appointed. Whenever I restore the fortunes of my people, whenever I would heal Israel, the sins of Ephraim are exposed and the crimes of Samaria revealed.
There's so much happening here.
First, I just wanted to point out, God saying he no longer wants burnt offerings, but wants acknowledgement. This is the beginning of Christianity and the idea of salvation against original sin, which is so interesting. You can begin to see it even in the Old Testament. This line of thinking starting to bring up.
Yeah, so you can discern from this kind of like this is the it's a small reformation in the Jewish faith. Mm-hmm. Beginning like this is a conversation that whoever wrote Hosea is talking about with other people in I don't know what you want to call it, the clergy or whatever, his other holy folks, and probably just in the community in general because everyone was pretty much religious. So yeah, it's really interesting to kind of get these threads. Like they're Israel and the Israelites have been just shit on forever, and mostly not mostly. It's always been circumstance because they're in a fertile area that people want, and they they keep trying to resettle. And they do a pretty good job sometimes, but it just doesn't work out forever because other people want to live there because it's awesome compared to the fucking surroundings. Like Saudi Arabia is really shitty. It's just deserts, and then there's oil, and now it got real great. But, Egypt to the west and south, a little shittier, with lots of deserts. So it's very much, they don't understand because they don't know, they can't pan out and know geography.
Yeah.
So we've been trying this and trying this and trying this. The burnt offerings have never worked. You know what does work? Maybe listening to the Lord. And it's our original sin. This is why bad stuff happens. We're not doing bad stuff. We are born this way. We are born unclean because we've tried everything. There's no other, it can't possibly be that God is an asshole or we're wrong.
Yeah.
So we should be on the straight and narrow and follow him so we can have salvation after this, after we are done being fucked.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, we're actually just going to summarize pretty much what happens. He continues to talk about the sins and being exposed. Oh, God. Punishment for Israel. He talks about punishing them again. Israel is a spreading vine. Lots of metaphors repeating what we've already said.
Yeah, and then just their repentance, basically. Return to the Lord, he'll forgive you of the sins, you'll ascend later on into his holy kingdom, and then, but there's no Jesus yet, because he's not a thing.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be rebellious, you should be following the laws of God, and no longer in this ritualistic sort of, I would consider it more pagan-esque ways, where there's lots of burnt offerings, it's very nature-driven. Now it's like a personality. You have it's true monotheism around now, I think, because they've really shrugged off all the other kinds of ritualistic behavior that you won't see again. Probably, not all of it, but a lot of the pagan-esque ritualistic that you won't see again until they reconvene with Rome, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that just happens, and then it ends with repentance to bring blessing, in which they just have sort of a prayer to apologize for God for all these things that they're accusing themselves of.
Next up is Joel!
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about Joel, but it's only 2 pages, and then Amos, and then...
so we'll probably do Joel in 1, Amos in 1.
Obadiah.
And then after Obadiah...
Jonah.
Is Jonah, the good one.
Micah.
Yeah.
And then Nahum.
Habakkuk. Zephaniah. Basically, Haggai, Zechariah, Haggai's 1 page. Zechariah is actually longer. Then Malachi is the last one before the New Testament.
Yeah, this is all going to be sort of setting the groundwork for Christianity.
Yeah, and you'll see that especially with Jonah, which I'm most familiar with. I think more people are familiar with Jonah as well. There starts to be conversion, happening. It's no longer us v them. It's like we can get them to be us. Sort of thing, and that's more powerful than just killing them.
Yep.
Which is an interesting for a desert people that are nomadic and often warring. It's interesting for a culture to kind of reassess, not get the right answer, but still lean, sort of turn into the skid.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, maybe we need to save souls. That's why. You know what I'm saying? The way that they justify this, it's very interesting.
I find it interesting, too, in the sense that when I look at religions and how they evolve over time, very much in the same way, I look at it the same way you look at biological evolution. Richard Dawkins has talked about this in regard to memes, and I don't mean internet memes, I mean the idea that all ideas are inherently mimetic and can spread in the same way that biological things can spread and change over time. The successful ones are able to spread more, and I think you see that...
you do.
When Judaism turns into Christianity. fuck! They got Rome! They got fucking Rome!
You see, at the height of its power, you see, well, not the height, it was the laughter, but yeah.
It was,
yeah.
And that started to toll the,
The death bells?
Yeah, not that was the only thing. There was
absolutely not, but yeah. I think hubris and expansion was definitely one of them. We could talk about Rome some other time. Yeah, this is kind of like the initial the seeds of Christianity. You may think the most all of this technically is, but really right here is the idea of Christianity without the Messiah, without the I don't even know if they have a concept of what the hell is that Jesus talks about. By the way, a big reason that I think Jesus is a cunt is the way he talks about hell, which is not a thing the Jews talked about. It's God or hell for the Jews, it wasn't that. It was the afterlife, and it was just more toiling and
Sheol.
shitty. Yeah, it was not great. So yeah, Jesus is the one in the book, at least. I don't know who actually started talking about this, but
Paul.
well, yeah, it was Paul, but I don't know who he's influenced by because we don't have records. But
It says in the book he was influenced by Ghost Jesus. Duh.
fucking kill me. But yeah, so that means Jesus informed Paul, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was Paul. And so yeah, he talks about basically like you're fucked and like hellfire, suffering. Like Jesus, we have this idea that Jesus is like, oh, he's the nice one. He's not really the nice one. He's the passive aggressive one.
He's the marketing manager. He's the face of the shitty company.
Yeah, and he's also the one
That's good at showing face and says some nice He's like when the Catholics elected the most recent pope and everyone's like, oh my god, the pope said something not entirely disgusting. Isn't he great? Like,
No. He
no.
wants to cover up pedophilia. Like, okay. So yeah, it's
The pope said not every single person who doesn't believe exactly the same as him isn't burning for eternity. What a nice guy.
If you're an atheist that cringes at Jesus had some good ideas, this next little bit of the Bible study is going to be for you. We're going to deep dive into Jesus and the mythos, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, you can always subscribe to the channel if you like what you saw, and if you like the other stuff that we do. Of course, we do the Tangent. We have some guests. Last one was Adam from Your Movie Sucks. We also do Chick Tracks, stuff like that. You can follow me at Papa Bird Jake on Twitter. You can follow Hugo at Hugo Reloaded. You can also do the Patreon, which we talked about at the beginning, which would, again, it very much helps out. You're the only reason we could do this. We should do a Patreon live show soon. Yeah. But first, for fans of the live streams, the unboxing streams, we have a special guest coming up for the next one. So tune into that. It'll be end of this week, I think. Right? Around the 18th.
Okay.
18th, 19th, 20th, somewhere in there.
Okay. P.O. Box. Send us stuff or movies to review.
Indeed.
So until next time, Hugo.
Jake.
Bible Reloaded. Hugo and Jake.